What's going on, everyone? So today I'm bringing you the MGL series from Shimano. So I recently went out and bought the MGL series from the Curado a few months back, and a couple weeks ago I went out and got the SLX MGL. Alright, so let's talk about the differences, right? Because there is a significant difference in price between the Curado MGL and the SLX MGL. The Curado MGL comes in at $229, while the SLX MGL comes in at $149, right? So there's an $80 difference. Now that being said, whenever there is an SLX reel versus a Curado reel, there's an $80 difference. So the baseline SLX is $99, the Curado K which is their entry level, Curado is $189, right? So the Curado DC is $269, the SLX DC is $189. So again, the $80 difference here at $229 in the Curado MGL and $149 in the SLX MGL. So that being said, let's take a look at the specs. All right, both reels are 70 spool size. All right, it's an 8. Well, I've got the MGL Curado in the 8 1-to-1, which is the XG. Right? Now they are available in different gear ratios for different speed retrieves. This just happens to be the XG, which is what I wanted to use for my application. All right, it comes with 12 pounds of drag. It's a 6.9 ounce reel, and it's an 8+1 bearing. Now the SLX MGL is 6:3-to-1. Again, that's the baseline gear ratio, so it's not the HG or the XG. It's just the baseline HGL, which is the 6 MGL, which is the 6:3-to-1. Again, it's got 12 pounds of drag and it's 7.1 ounces. So again, the MGL coming in at 6.9. This comes in at 7.1. So the $80 price difference, you're getting a little bit heavier. And as far as the ball bearings go, this is a 4+1, while the Curado is an 8+1. So you're getting 4 more bearings, right? And you're getting a little bit lighter of a reel out of the Curado. So that's just the specifications. Let's actually show you what these reels look like and how we're working with them. So starting out with the Curado. Okay, so again, the Curado 70 MGL. With the adjustable, exterior adjustable brakes out there, as well as the interior adjustable brakes. And then you've got the SLX MGL. And you can already see the much larger adjustable brake on the outside, as well as the different color tone here, being the lighter gray and the blue, while here you've got the darker gray with kind of that metallic green. I don't even know what you call that, emerald green, metallic emerald, but it's beautiful. So there they are side by side. Again, that's the MGL family from the Curado and the SLX. If you take a look at the side by side comparisons, side plate comparisons. Now, when you're palming the two reels, maybe it's because of how petite the external brake is on the Curado, but it definitely does feel more comfortable in your hand. Marginally though, so if, not that this does not feel comfortable, because it is. It's just this is a little smoother and just a little smaller. You do feel the size difference too in the palm. So $80 between the two. That's up to you. I can justify it myself, but can you? That's the question. So on the high speed retrieve here, okay, on the XG, I use my weighted. It's used for my weighted soft plastics. Okay, it's also on a medium heavy rod, so I could use this for a number of things. I also go ahead and do some pitching and flipping with this as well. Now on this reel right here, on the SLX MGL, it's primarily my jig rod, my jig rod and reel. Again, paired up with the Bass X medium heavy. So I happen to like the feel of the Bass X rod when it comes to the sensitivity on the jigs a little bit better than I do on this M1 rod. Even though this M1 rod is very sensitive, the tip on this, it says medium heavy, but honestly it fishes more like a medium light, or sorry, like a medium. While this medium heavy is a true medium heavy, it's a 7-foot rod instead of a 7'3". So I feel like I've got more control over working that jig and a little bit more backbone when I set the hook on the jig with this rod. But again, this reel with the 70 size, you're not making 100-yard casts with a jig. You are finding structure, you're going ahead and kind of dancing that and popping it, slow playing it back to you, whatever the season calls for. But in no season and at no time do you need to have a 200 size reel. Do you even need to have a 150 size reel? A 70 to 100 size reel is perfect for a jig. It's perfect for rubber worm fishing. Where it's not perfect, where you do not want something like this, is if you're doing some cranking, right? You want to get that bait out there as far as you can so you can have the time in the retrieve to crank it down as deep as it can go, right? Or if you are doing some search bait fishing or glide baits, or something you want to put out there a distance, cover some water, spinner baits even, again, cover some water with that. You're not covering as much water with a 70 reel as you are with a 150 or a 200 reel. So that being said, both of these reels are in my starting lineup. This is my starting jig rod. This is my starting soft plastic rod. So I love them both. You can't go wrong. The Curado is, to be expected, a little bit smoother, but what I'm using a heavier jig on the SLX, and let me tell you, as far as casting goes, it's just as smooth. It's really just the retrieve that you're noticing the price difference, but you definitely notice the price difference in the palm, the $80 between the two. That being said, you're not gonna make a bad choice. Great reels. I happen to use them for 2 applications, but I could switch them back and forth just fine. So honestly, you cannot make a bad choice between these two. If I had to do it again, I would just buy this reel right here. If I had to choose one. That being said, I'm very happy that I bought both. They're both in my starting arsenal. I use them both every time I go out now, but it is a little bit smoother. It's only $80 more if you do want the 4 extra bearings, if you do want a little bit lighter of a reel and a little bit smoother of a retrieve. For me, I could justify the $80 more, even if it means buying it a couple times over because I'm gonna have a couple reels. I'd still justify the extra $80 because I use them all the time. If you're someone that wants this reel for a style of bait that you might not use it all the time for, then go ahead and get the SLX MGL. You're gonna get pretty much all the performance, just not quite as smooth. But if it's a style of fishing that you do not use every single time you're on the boat, then maybe you don't need to spend the extra $80 for the Curado MGL. But for those confidence baits, for the confident rods, go ahead and spend the extra $80 for the Curado line over the SLX line. And honestly, that's not just for the MGL. That's whenever the Curado K over the SLX, the Curado DC over the SLX DC. You know, whenever you get the chance, if it's something that you're going to be throwing all the time, that's when you will spend the extra $80 for the Curado line. So, all right. Well, again, it's been fun, guys. I love bringing you this content. I love interacting and reading your comments. So please do that. All right, watch this video, leave a comment, hit that notification and subscribe button so you don't miss any future content, and go ahead, talk to me back and forth of finding out what you guys find interesting. All right. Until next time, guys.